Welcome back guys. In the last two lectures we have discussed about how to send the data from React.js to the Firebase and how to retrieve the data from the Firebase to the React.js. But when it comes to the retrieving process, we will have some complexities in the Firebase because it will send the data in the form of JSON and that cannot be used in our React applications directly. So if you see the data here, I have clicked on the retrieve data button. So the data is present in the form of object. First of all, I will clear all these things. Click on retrieve data. Here you can see we got the data. This is called as one object. It is not an array. It is just an object. And inside the object, again we are having the two objects. So we cannot loop through these data directly without converting it to the normal array form. Suppose if you want to print the email of the first object in the array. How can we print that? Because we cannot remember this ID directly, and here it is not having any index numbers. If it is array, it will have the index numbers, but it is not an array. It will separate format like Firebase format. So we have to convert these Firebase format data to our normal applications format. So let's try to print the email of the first object in the normal way. So you can see the error, what type of error it will raise. So I will write where my data equal to snapshot.val. So I have assigned this snapshot.value to the my data. Now I want to print the first object email. The first object is this. First object email is firebase@gmail.com. So according to the arrays, we have to write to get the first object, you have to use the index 0. So I will use the same way. Console.log my data of 0 dot email. Let's check whether it is working or not. Remove all these things. Now click on the retrieve data button. Here you can see we got the error, cannot read property email of undefined, because Firebase data is not in the form of arrays. It will be a separate format. So we have to convert that format to our normal JSON format or array format. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about that. So in this lecture, our end of the lecture goal is you have to print the email of the first object. So this is the first object and the email of the first object is firebase@gmail.com. So you have to print using the arrays. So the first thing is you have to convert these Firebase data into an array. Then you can loop through that and you can print the emails. So first of all, remove this statement and remove this ID also, where my data also. Control S. So now we got only our data in the snapshot value. Remove these things. So you can see this is our data. Now we have to convert that. So listen very carefully. It is one of the important process in the React and Firebase concepts. So if you don't know how to retrieve and how to represent the data, you cannot do anything. So first we have to create two arrays. The first one is where duplicate. That means you have to perform some operations. That's the reason I am writing the name as where duplicate array equal to. So to this duplicate array, you have to assign this data, snapshot.value, Control S. Then you need to create one more array that is called as the original array, where original equal to empty array. Initially, this original array is empty. So with the help of this duplicate array, you have to modify the data in this snapshot. So I will write where, not where, for all where ID. So because we are having only this ID is the unique in our data, that's the reason you have to use this ID, where ID in duplicate. So here duplicate is nothing but the snapshot.value. So now you have to create this new array with the help of this for loop. So for every iteration, you have to add an object with 4 properties. The first property is ID. Already we are having ID here, and remaining 3 properties are email, first name and last name. So now I will show you how to add that. Original, because we are going to push this ID to the original array. Original.push curly braces, because we are going to use two things. The first one is you have to add the array, not array ID. You have to add this ID. And the second one is remaining 3 properties, these properties. Here you can see already we have added ID. Now you have to add these 3 properties. So where are these 3 properties present? So if you know this ID, you can able to print these 3 properties. That's the reason you have to write one line here. Duplicate of ID. And here we need to append these 2 things. To append, we just need to write triple dots. That's it. Not 4 dots, only 3 dots. That's it. So in this new array, we will be having one object for every iteration. In that one object, we will be having 4 properties. The first property is ID and remaining 3 properties are email, first name and last name. And that 3 properties are getting by this statement. Triple dots, duplicate of ID. So that's it. This is the only way to convert normal Firebase data to the normal data. So you can print the original data now, which is in the form of normal array. I will print console.log original, Control S. Now let's refresh the page. So after clicking the retrieve data button, you will get 2 datas. That means the data in the Firebase format, the data in the normal format. Now I will click on the retrieve data. Here you can see we got 2 types of data. This is in the Firebase format, this is in the normal format. In this Firebase format, you cannot do anything. That's the reason we have converted this data to the normal format. Here you can see it is present in the array format. So we have 2 indexes in the array, the index 0 and index 1. So in index 0, as I said, we have 4 properties. The first property is email, second is first name, and the third property is ID, and fourth property is last name. For the second object also, that means index 1, we are having the 4 properties: email, first name, ID and last name. Now you can loop through this array and you can do whatever you want with this original data. So if you want to print all the emails, you can print. If you want to print the email of the first object also, you can print. As I said, this lecture goal is to print the email of the first object. That means firebase@gmail.com. Now I will print using the index. So I will write console.log original of 0. Original of 0, that means first object in the original array. Dot property name, the property name is email. Control S. Now refresh it and click on the retrieve data. Here you can see we got the data in the console firebase@gmail.com. This is the Firebase data, this is the normal data, and this is the email that we have retrieved from the normal data. So if you know all these things, you can perform any operations with the help of React.js and Firebase. So that is what we are going to do from next lecture. So from the next lecture, we are going to build a CRUD application with the help of Redux. That means not Redux, Firebase. Thank you.